Thanks, folks, for getting on for the VOLTTRON Office Hours. Our agenda today was we were going to cover the VOLTTRON 7 release candidate, which moves the code base to Python 3. For the folks on the call, is anybody working in Python 3? Have you been waiting for VOLTTRON to make that move? I guess what's your current development or deployment environment like?
We are actually waiting for to port to VOLTTRON 7, and we're planning our migration to Python 3. We haven't actually started it yet.
Great. Okay.
So, are you in the position where you're going to be moving directly to production, or are you willing to be guinea pigs?
We would like to be guinea pigs in our preview environment, at least.
Excellent. That's what we would love to hear. Currently, the VOLTTRON 7 preview branch off of the main GitHub page has been released. It's in the first release candidate went out at the end of October. There is still some issues. No, the first issue that I'll mention is that it does not work with 3.7. There was a new keyword that was added in 3.7 that is called async, and there happens to be a function in gEvent, which is our async library that we are using, and it has a function named async, so it will not work with 3.7. However, there are it will work with 3.6 at this point in time, and that's one of the things on my list to do, is to figure out what we can do to change that. So if you can survive with 3.6 rather than 3.7, you can try out the branch as it is. Are you planning on doing a RabbitMQ version, or just or a ZMQ installation?
Currently, we're using ZMQ, but we have tried out RabbitMQ, and it is working. The only thing we can't do is access the management interface for RabbitMQ.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we have noticed, that because of, and I'm sure it has to do with certificates, but I'm not 100% sure about that. The RabbitMQ management console seems to be disabled for some reason, and I'm not. I think Shweta's working on at least figuring out something about that. We're not 100% sure why we're unable to log into the console. The only thing that I can think of is that it's because we're authenticating both sides of the connection when you connect to Rabbit. So the clients have to be authenticated with the server, and because we're using because we are using self-signed certificates, the browser doesn't have that. So if we could, there's probably a way we can stick our client a client certificate in the browser so it uses that to authenticate. But I believe that is the reason. That's my thought. That's my hypothesis. But I haven't been able to. I don't think that we have been able to verify that is truth or not. I can't think of any other reason though. So.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks very much. I will actually look at it myself, and if I figure it out, I'll perform a pull request.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, we appreciate it. You know, we try to do as much testing as we can here, but our environment doesn't, can't mimic all environments. So the more people that can test in the community, the better. So thanks for helping us with that.
Pleasure. Thank you.
What did we have for the agenda today, Jeremy? Was it just an open?
Yeah, Python 3 and open.
Okay.
So maybe just go over the other impacts of Python 3.
The other impacts of Python 3. Currently, what we're trying to do is we're trying to accelerate releases. So hopefully we'll have another release out next Monday. There is an issue with the current web, the web-enabled stuff in the Python 3 version that's out there. The RC, I can't remember, is it RC0 or RC1? But that should be fixed here shortly. What other ramifications did I mention, Jeremy?
The byte handling or string handling.
Well, okay, so
Just kind of go over the release notes.
okay, so in that case, let's bring them up. So bytes in this new version have been mainly dealt with by the platform. In the ZM, so we had an issue that ZMQ requires bytes to send across the message bus. So we have to convert everything from string to bytes in order to send it across ZMQ. However, RabbitMQ requires strings and Unicode strings to send things off. So before this release, we had bytes to string and string to bytes code all over the place. And so we've consolidated that down to everything in the platform is strings except for right before it goes onto the ZMQ message bus and right after it comes off of the ZMQ message bus. So that we believe has upgraded performance because we're not doing that all over the place. Let's see. This includes. Let's see. So we've done some work with RabbitMQ and having external clients talk to RabbitMQ and get data from the VOLTTRON message bus. We've got that in another repository that we've used both. What is it? The
Are you talking about external clients? I can
yes.
paste that.
Yeah.
Let me
Yeah.
paste that.
Yeah, the external clients. Well, what did we test with? We test with
Java, with the Java client, with the Python client, and a Python client with federation setup and shovel set.
and we've actually integrated with the.
And we've integrated VOLTTRON with Elasticsearch.
Elasticsearch. That's what I'm looking for. Oh my gosh, my brain is not working yet today. And then a couple other things of note that working on with RabbitMQ on a Raspberry Pi is painful. We've discovered that. Just because there's more overhead because we're running two message buses on the platform. When you run RabbitMQ, because we haven't separated the two, you're actually running both a RabbitMQ and a ZMQ broker at the same time. So there is an added overhead to using RabbitMQ at this point, but we're going to be separating that out so you can. And the reason for that is to seamlessly integrate with environments that are already set up, that are already RabbitMQ or are already ZMQ. You can integrate without having to pretty much modify your existing your existing platforms. But that adds a layer on top of it, which is resource. On a resource constrained system, it makes things slow. On Raspbian, the installation for CFFI, which is a library for handling it's a library for handling code that was not written in Python to be able to talk to Python, is not as well supported as we would like. So there is an issue there. Let's see, what else? We've added a lot of different test cases, and we've used the tests that we have mostly without modification, so that we know that we have the same input and outputs coming from the same functions in both 2.7 as well as the 3.0 versions of Python. And this has been a huge upgrade.
And
Go ahead.
secure config store, can you
Oh, yep, we
explain
have
about that?
So there's two levels. We now have, or shortly we'll have the rest of this, but security config store allows you, specifies that you have to give access to your config store to other agents. So agent A has to give explicitly the ability for agent B to edit agent A's config store, and this is done through the VOLTTRON control config or auth command for that agent to connect to it. And Chandrika can probably explain this better than I can, because she's the one who actually did it. But that's in order to allow RPC functionality to get the config store, to get any RPC functions, you can add the abilities through the config store, or through our auth config. You there, Chandrika? There you are. Okay.
I also wanted to mention that it's not, but the feature has been added as a generic feature, so you can now use the same method or functionality to protect any RPC call, and you can say, okay, only agent A can access agent B's, this particular RPC call, and you can also restrict saying it can be called only with certain parameters. If say the RPC call expects 2 parameters, X and Y, you can say it can be called by so and so only with X equal to 1 and Y is less than 10 or something like that. You can put a value or a pattern.
And why would we want that?
It could be useful in many cases, like you say you have your own historian and you want, say, some data is protected, and say you don't want everybody to query your historian, then you could change your exposed query method to say allow only this admin agent to access this query method. Or you can say if you have one historian that stores both private and not private data, then you can have, say, yes, anybody can call query method, but you can query, this agent can query for only these topics or this date range, and only admin agent can query all topics. So the RPC call can be restricted.
Cool.
So a question, is this enabled by default or the security?
Yeah, right now the restriction on an RPC method has to be coded by your developer, right? Or you have to go change the code to put a restrict this method. But who can access it is something that you can configure at command line for an installed VOLTTRON. You can say vctl auth, update capability of agent A to be able to call agent B's RPC call 1 with parameter 1, 2, and 3.
Okay.
But for now, the agent which has the method RPC call, on top of the code, there should be a at rpc.allow only people with this particular capability. So, so all restricted RPC calls by design can be the access control can be done from command line. Does it make sense? But
and the one that's actually, the only one that is actually enabled by default is the editing of your config store.
yeah,
When you install an agent, there is a when you add the identity to the platform, you are given the right to edit your config store.
yeah, your own config store, yeah, by default.
Okay. Because I have written an agent that reads the historian config store, but I only read it.
Yeah, right.
I don't modify.
Config. Oh, historian's config store. Then
Correct.
with this version, you will have to explicitly give permission for your agent to access the config store of historian.
If you do it through the platform.
Yeah, if you do it through the platform, yes.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Then this would be a change that would need to happen, and it's a one-line thing that as soon. Oh, the other thing. Yeah. Anyways, I'll talk about that in a minute. We'll
Basically,
continue.
you can open your auth.json and update it manually too.
True. Did we added documentation on how to upgrade these in the read the docs, right?
Yes, we did.
Okay. Just as soon as we get the read the docs to work with your pull request.
Yes.
So read the docs. The main admin interface for read the docs that's behind our documentation. You have the ability to set whether or not the project is Python 2 or Python 3, but not both. So when I tried to make the documentation for our Python 3, then it tried to rebuild all the Python 2 documentation, so our entire site went down. So we had to figure out a way around that, and that's the pull request that I'm mentioning with Chandrika right now.
Okay.
So very shortly we will have a new read the docs for the Python 3.6 or for the previous 7.0 branch. Anything else that you wanted to mention, Jeremy?
No, I think that's good. If there's any questions around Python 3, let us know. As Craig said, this is something that we're going to continue to work on improving the things and resolving any issues. And yeah, just let us know if you run into any yourself. And especially installation, that has proved problematic for different Linux versions and things like that. So we've tried to resolve the ones that we're aware of, but if you run into anything, just let us know as soon as you hit something.
Okay. We have installed on Ubuntu 18.04, and it works quite well, the installation.
Yep. That's generally what we're working off of. So that one should be taken care of. We're actually we'll probably have some interns that will be able to mix it up with different versions, hopefully here shortly. And most of the issues that we found with the Raspbian has been detected and found by David Rakers over in University of Toledo, and our own one that we have here. So cool.
All right. So just real quick, looks like the announcement for the office hours didn't actually make it through the mailing list server. So I apologize if you didn't get that this morning. I just tried to forward it out directly, so we'll see if we get any new people joining because of that. All right. Any other questions around Python 3? So it'll definitely be a topic that comes up again. See, Shweta, there was a couple items that you for you to cover. Do you want to hop on those?
What was it? It was the Elasticsearch and the battery agents.
Yeah.
So I'll go with battery agents first. The testing has not been completed, so I cannot show any data right now. I'm running into some issues with making it work with the entire market setup. So once that is completed, we'll have results for you. The other thing was the Elasticsearch. So the integration with VOLTTRON, integration of Elasticsearch to VOLTTRON has been completed. Now I'm trying to see what fancy stuff we can do with the data that is available in Elasticsearch. So I'm trying to see if we can do some anomaly detection or have fancy visualization with the time series data. Haven't completed that yet, so when I do complete it, I will have a demo for you guys. The way that the integration with Elasticsearch is done is through a NiFi framework, which acts like a pipeline, which allows you to create a pipeline between multiple data sources. So if, say, we have a RabbitMQ broker and VOLTTRON is connected to the broker. So if NiFi allows you to establish a connection between the RabbitMQ broker and the Elasticsearch. So with this data pipeline setup, you can easily have a queue that is collecting data from VOLTTRON and have that feed into NiFi. And in NiFi, we have the pipeline setup that easily allows you to, move the data to Elasticsearch. So that portion is done, and I'm able to get the data. Now, with that data, for demonstration purpose, I want to play with it a little bit, and once that is done, have something for you guys to look at.
Cool. Yeah. Once we can do some pretty pictures.
Yeah.
It's got to be fancy, man.
That's right.
Too much pressure. For that, if I have the access to the entire campus data, then I can do pretty stuff. Right now, I just have access to the demo board.
Okay.
You should be able to get access to SEB's data.
directly from
Perhaps not real time, but
I want it real time.
of course.
Okay,
Okay,
that's all I had.
great, thanks. All right, any other items?
We had a problem with sorry, this is not Python 3 related.
Yep,
We had
whatever.
an issue with the Postgres historian this week. What happened was we actually lost connection to the Postgres database, and messages were piling up on our outgoing table. Then when the connection was restored, it tried to insert data from the outgoing table into Postgres, but the insert statements had duplicates in. So it was breaking the constraint for the topic and timestamp. So in the same insert statement, there were duplicates.
I see.
So to work around this, we actually added a configuration to the historian to only insert one row at a time. And that worked out quite well for us.
Okay.
So you're saying that the bulk insert had duplicate timestamps?
Yes, correct.
And the fix that you made was to update the added configuration to the config file and then doing it a single insert at a time?
Correct, not a bulk.
So that, huh.
It's more of a just letting you know what happened rather than, yeah.
No, yeah,
No,
we appreciate it.
As I'm talking through it, I'm trying to figure out why, number one, why it would have duplicate timestamps.
We are writing the timestamps to the message, and we're giving exact timestamps. So it's in 15-minute intervals exactly, and a duplicate came in by accident.
Oh, so it was an accidental insert that got a duplicate? Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Ah, okay. And then because of that, it wasn't able to handle it. I got
Correct.
it. Okay, so it's...
And then our historian goes into a bad state and stays there.
Yeah, yeah. How... Interesting. How do you think that... Obviously, you guys resolved your issue, but can you think of a way that that VOLTTRON... What would you expect VOLTTRON to do at this point for that? Or would you?
So we would like to make a patch for this actually to avoid this scenario where the combination of topic and timestamp are duplicated in the same insert. It should be fairly simple.
We would certainly welcome a patch for that.
It's probably a few lines of code.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great. Okay.
What's interesting is if you do the single insert, I believe that the way that things are configured in most of the historians, it would overwrite whatever was there the first time. That's
Correct.
the way we've done it, just with the research code and
So
stuff.
you wouldn't get the duplicate, but it would overwrite.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's the behavior that we would expect.
Okay.
Okay. Well, yeah, great. Thanks for letting us know about that, and thanks for putting in a patch.
Will do. Thanks.
All right, anything else? If not, then I think we can call it a meeting.
All right, guys.
All right, thanks everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Yep, thank you.